Hello, hello. Welcome.
I'm a little under the weather, but I'll be listening in.
Okay, yep, absolutely. Oh. Well, hello to everyone. Welcome to our private lending um, get together, our meeting. So good to have you with me. I'm going to be, we'll be talking about issues in private lending and things to do. So it's more of a sort of a teaching class as well. But first, I'd like to start by asking you to introduce yourselves to each other so we'll know exactly who's here. Uh, let's see. Then we got Marcia. Are you there? Vernine.
I am sorry.
Okay. Yeah, just introduce yourself so that we can know who you are. And if you would, love to see you if you feel comfortable turning your cameras on.
I was trying to eat dinner, sorry.
Okay.
My name is Marcia Medley. I am a private money lender. I've been lending since 2017. I'm located in Raleigh, North Carolina, and looking to expand my private lending business.
Great.
I guess outside of that, I also am a buy and hold investor as well.
Wonderful. Thank you and welcome to the meeting. Vernine.
Hello.
Oh,
Hi. Yeah, I'm new. I am in Gator and I am in sub 2. So
okay.
yeah.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad you could come. Chris.
Hi, everybody. Chris Burns. I'm in Pittsburgh, PA. And I am still very new to the real estate investing. I've done one private money lend, and I'm hoping to get into another one soon. And that's where I am.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming. I'm glad to have you with us. And Gabby. Gabby, can you hear me? Can you introduce yourself? I see you driving. Okay.
Let it drive.
Let her drive. Driving. Yes.
Don't need any accidents.
That's right. You've,
My name is Gabby. I'm still new to real estate as well, and I am currently working as a delivery driver for Amazon. and it's with a DSP. So thankfully, this job gives me like the opportunity to look out for like vacant homes, rest houses in the areas where I'm not familiar with. And it also helps me get to be a part of like a community where I get to like meet new people, get to know like the different markets and different areas. So it's helping me out a lot, and I'm still learning. I'm trying to get into like wholesale as well. And so that's where I'm at like right now.
Okay, well, nice to see you. It's been a while. Good to see you.
See you.
So I'm Sevelin. Well, let me, Sean, you want to introduce yourself? Because I know you're on, but Sean's hanging out with us, but he's, under the weather a little bit, so we're praying for you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna turn my camera on and show y'all how swollen I look, but I'm definitely under the weather. I've been into real estate since 2017. I got with Sevelin probably in 2021, where we both met. We met each other through one of Pace's sub 2 meetings in Raleigh. And ever since then, I've been buying and holding, and also been lending as well. But I am a underwriter at heart and somewhat of an integrator. And I say somewhat. So, but everything that goes through Sevelin's pipeline, as far as any deals, I'm the one that underwrites them. And I have 2 other people that check over my work. And basically, that's how I am in her business right now.
Thanks. And great to work with someone. You have to build a team, have to have a team. So that for
Yeah.
new folks coming in, just remember that you got to have a team. It's not, one man or one woman show.
It's
But
not gonna work.
Nope, no, it will not. But Mr. Isaac, how are you? Your mic is not on.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Welcome.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Just having a little introduction and tell us a little bit about you.
I'm a designer builder. I've built lots of custom homes through the years. I'm a union finished carpenter by trade. I've worked on some pretty large projects, ran over 1 million square feet at UCLA. Presently I buy and sell houses, and I'm also looking to buy and hold in the future. Yeah, but mostly I do like custom homes and multi-tenant residential.
Yeah, and you're in California?
Yes, I work in Los Angeles and Orange County.
Okay, all right. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming in. And let's see, we got Calvin. Calvin, good to see you, my friend.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Very well. Go just introducing ourselves to one another.
Oh, okay. How y'all doing? I'm Kelvin Coleman from Shreveport, Louisiana. I real estate investor. Trying to get back into the groove of everything. No Sullivan from another real estate investing platform. From I guess probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Fortune Builders. Yeah.
Fortune Builders.
Yes,
I might know that group if they're in California.
they are. San Diego, to be exact.
Yeah.
In San Diego?
Yeah. Mhm.
This is with Matt.
I think Matt
Dan
was
Merrill.
Sam Merrill, but I think Matt was I think he had a Matt with him too. Sam Merrill was primary person that.
Maybe there's more than one.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of the other guy's name. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but it sounds
Yeah.
familiar. And he had an
Yeah,
office building somewhere in Pasadena or something, I think.
Oh, okay. They may have something else. I was familiar with the San Diego area, but it's good to
Good.
have you here with us. Is Chris Burns, you there?
I am.
Hi. Just please introduce yourself.
Chris Burns. I'm in Pittsburgh, PA, and I am trying to do some more private money lending opportunities. Sevelin, I think I've met you through Coast to Coast, or maybe
Yeah.
maybe a few other networking things that we've done. But I'm still very new to the game, have a full-time job, so I don't have a lot of time to put into it, but I'm trugging along.
Well, that's,
Yep.
great
That's
thing.
great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. And I'm Sevelin, and I have been with the real estate area since about 2019. I'm a retired teacher, which you'll figure that out as we talk. I went into private lending as my major piece of what I do. I did have a buy and hold, and I'm still working a little bit with that with my buddy, Sean. And I'm looking to do some more eventually in the future. My goal right now is to work on building a network of lenders where we can come together, and when there's big projects or things, we have a platform where we can help a lot of folks, and we can also, be able to help ourselves. But, my thing is when we can help others, we usually win. It's not just about me. So I don't, I think that's, a good thing that we need to do by helping others. And that includes those who are marginalized as well, with needing homes, affordable homes, our veterans, teachers, first responders. And so that is a major part of my interest and the why that I came into this. So I'm just thankful that we can get together and talk and learn and grow together. And Terry, I think I just saw someone else pop in. Hello.
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 Sorry, yeah, I just popped in here, running a little late.
That's okay. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I'm Terry Heinecker. I'm from South Central Pennsylvania, Lancaster County to be specific. I was started wholesaling in 2018, and recently been trying to transfer to buy and holds.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
Tonight, we are really focusing on private lenders. The goal is for us to talk, learn some things about issues that go on in the lending arena and how we can help borrowers a little more, as well as borrowers understanding, what is expected of them if they are looking for private money. So, I'm not, normally I'd say, well, I'm going to have private lenders. This is going to focus on private lenders, but those of you come, if you're on the other side, you'll learn what we look for. Okay. So, one of the things I wanted to do is just to ask everyone questions about where they were. So there's several experienced folks who's been lending, and I would just love if you would share some of the things that you have learned from your experience as private lenders. And kind of get a hand raised. By the way, there is a reaction button that if you want to raise your hand, but if you would, someone hop on and just talk about your experience as a lender. Anyone? Who else is a lender? I know that Marcia is a lender. I've heard, how many of you are Gators? Who's a Gator? Gator, okay. Okay, come on, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay. Well, I have only done one deal since
Mhm.
I've joined sub two. And I found it door knocking, pre-foreclosures. And they let me jump into it as a lender. So I didn't get too much of the paperwork or any of the knowledge, behind the scene. I just know I put in 10 and I got 28 back. So I was like, I'm in.
So, so you didn't have, they did a promissory note or what? What did you get?
Well, no, I was actually, there's A, B, and C. I was actually the third party.
Mhm.
And I got it, 18% is what it was.
Okay, yeah, but so one of the things, what paperwork did they give you to make sure that your money was safe? What type of paperwork?
I guess it was just, I don't know I don't know what to call it.
Was it a
Promissory
J
note?
agreement?
Were you a JV
Yeah, it was
agreement?
probably a JV agreement. It was
Okay.
probably that, because I know the first one was the guy that brought in the money that rehabbed it all.
Mhm.
And then the second one was my partner. He got the bigger portion. And then out of his portion, I got 18%. That's how we broke it down. But it was all in paperwork that went to the title company.
Title company, okay. All right, well,
And
congratulations.
I guess I would
Thank
just
you.
add to that based on what I've seen. And I guess my experience is a little different because I'm just now getting with the Pace Morby group, which is a little different than the group I've been with. But the joint venture agreement is pretty standard. The promissory note is pretty standard. The personal guarantee is pretty standard. One of the things that kind of I look at up front, and I think it kind of helps me in terms of getting my money, making sure that there's clear title on the property. And the other key thing is making sure that there's equity in the property, as well as the person has some experience and a track record of following through and really understanding renovations, because I work with a lot of fix and flippers, and if they don't get that budget right, there's no money left for you to, easily get your payments. I think one of the other big difference I've seen, most of the deals that I do outside of the Morby method, and I understand there's a mix of it, is that I typically get interest-only payment followed by a balloon payment when the property is sold. Since I've joined the PACE group back in this past November, I see that a lot of the deals are you get paid at the end of the deal versus interest only payments and then your balloon. But I guess you can structure your deal whichever way you want. So that's kind of what I've seen and have experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Still
Yeah,
like to
go-
talk because I could then really run on.
Well, we're just thankful that Marcia's had a lot of more experience. In fact, I would say she's probably one of the most experienced of the private lenders that I've met. And so she's absolutely right about paperwork. Whether it's going to be a joint venture, if you're doing a joint venture, then, with percentages, from the investment, what you get from the sale or whatever, that's great. But the other piece is making sure that if you get just a straight lend where they want, only to lend, then you're not going to have, more money. They're not, they don't want you to be in the partnership. Then you need to make sure the paperwork is right. Who else is a lender? Let's see, I've got two. Okay, Chris, Isaac. Isaac?
Yes.
Yeah, now are you a lender?
No, I'm a borrower. I buy
Oh,
multi-million-dollar projects and I always look for JV, not partners, but JV, investor
mhm.
gap, sort of.
Well, talk about your experience, with your private lenders or your lenders and then what you do. This is a different area because you do large projects. So can you share a little bit about how you get your, the lending portion set up?
Right. So I work with a couple of ladies and guys, and they're in like a group. I'm always looking for more though, but the ones I'm working on right now, they do one project at a time, and they syndicate it so they can put 5 or 6 or whatever on the LLC that they have, and they lend it. And the funny thing about it is their team is in different states,
Mhm.
and then they lend in California, where I am.
Yes.
But
Okay.
yeah, it's a JV agreement and all those things like the other ladies were talking about. And I buy the properties like 65% of the ARV, so I'm usually in pretty good shape. Um, so they're 6 months to a year. Most lenders don't want to really go over 6 months, but like some of my projects are a year. I have one that's 4.6 million, and so I borrowed 780,000, and I'm paying back just about $1 million, million and change.
Okay. Um, but these are all just through joint ventures, would they do that, correct?
Yes, yes, both of them are joint ventures, and I pretty much think everyone I've dealt with are joint ventures
Okay.
agreements. So they're like it's like a partnership joint
Mhm.
venture, but it's just they only get reimbursed on their money,
Mhm.
and
Right.
they take a second.
Okay.
So that we have a second, a promissory note, and my social security, my kids' social security. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But no, they know all about me. We take pictures of the job, or they have someone come by and take pictures of the job as we go along.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Um, I see some new person, Kitty. And may I ask if everyone would just, if you can go into your, up at the 3 dots at the top of your, where you have your Zoom, and could you please add where you're from and a phone number? I would appreciate that. And so, hi, Kitty, welcome.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I'm out. Gotta walk my dog. I've been working all day. It's my only chance, so I'll pause right now. But yeah, for a little bit about me, I remember we spoke before, but I'll share with everybody else. My name is Kitty Walker. I'm primarily a mortgage broker. I was an underwriter for 20 years. I'm a licensed mortgage broker. So that means like I deal in traditional mortgages, but I do work with a lot of investors as well. And I help investors with, I'm kind of like a middleman, like help them with partnering up with JV partners because a lot of my fix and flip, buyers, and they're just getting started. They don't have their down payment. They don't have the funds. So that's one of the things I help them with is finding the right JV partner to kind of get them started. But typically the way I've been working is it's just a very small portion that they're getting from a private individual that then they're usually just forming, they have their JV agreement like you guys are saying, and then they get an LLC together and they pretty much do it like a 50-50% entity ownership on the LLC. So, everybody's needs are different, but I'm looking into venturing into where we're not utilizing the institutionalized hard money lenders because it's a lot and you're trying to sparse it around. I think it'd be more efficient if I just find direct private money lenders where I've underwritten the deal and made sure it's going to make sense and make sure that value, like the other lady was talking about, is actually going to be there. Because of my experience with the hard money lender where I was an underwriter and I was in charge of releasing the draws, going over the budget, walking the properties myself. So that's one of the things that even with no matter, whether my investor borrowers, whether they have a JV partner or not, I'm not going to waste my time with submitting and working on the deal until I first underwrite it myself and make sure that they actually have a deal and that they're being reasonable with their budget. So that's a little bit about me. Just here to kind of listen to everybody else and learn some more. And I'm part of PACE's group too. I'm in sub 2. So yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. And yes, we talked, it's good
Mhm.
to have someone who's been in this arena for a while, but understands and appreciates working with investors. Because
Mhm.
other times, I went to get mortgage, I go to get the mortgage and it's just dun, dun, dun. But, it was obvious that they were going through the same motions as if you were a homeowner. And
Right. It's different. Yeah.
so we do need individuals that understand that on our team. So welcome to the team. I'm claiming everybody here for the team, okay?
All right. That works.
Sounds good.
Uh,
Thank you.
I
Thank
wanted
you
to
for letting
go
me
back and-
share. I'm going to turn off my camera so I don't lose my dog and keep
Okay.
on listening though. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
Okay,
I heard,
this is Marcia. One of the things that's really important that I didn't mention in terms of guaranteeing your money is also getting a deed of trust. So,
that's great, yes. Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely.
and making sure it gets recorded.
Mhm. Right. Yes. So we've got a lot of nuggets of things that experienced investors or private lenders have already done. And at the meeting, PACE has a video, a YouTube video that talks about the 20 things to understand as a private lender. I don't know if you've gone in the vault to look for it, but it's just a free YouTube, one of his YouTube things. And now so one of the things I didn't say about myself is I work with sub 2 students, but I took PACE's free challenges. And I was so impressed with the amount of information that he just poured out and working with folks who didn't, wasn't paying for anything. The training was worth money, but he was doing it. And he said at the end, you may not be able to join. It might be cost prohibitive, but work with my students. And so I took that to heart. And that's why I'm here with you, with sub 2, and because I just feel that that's the area where he builds the synergy to make sure that we connect. So, and our testimony to that is, of course, that Sean and I've hooked up and we're working together in the business. Okay. So we are looking, it's one of those things that we want to build the community so that those who need money can access money, but also that, we work to make sure that we're safe and we have an instrument that will allow us to keep track of everything that goes out and comes in. And we'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But I am going to share my screen because I do, you know me, I'm going to have something that I'm going to teach or at least have a discussion about. And so let me pull that up. And so we're going to talk a little bit about private lending issues. And we're going to talk in terms of these 4 areas that I know I've lent in 3. I'm on 1 now. That's the construction. We're working through that. But let's talk about where we are with bridge loans. How many has done a bridge loan? A bridge loan is just short-term financing. It can be for a double close. It can be, it might be, transactional. It can be a hotel. I did my first one. I didn't know the name of it, but it was called the hotel, where it was cleaned out, and within 2 weeks, I got money back from just putting the money down for paying for the property, and then in 2 weeks, I got money back, and it was for 3 or 4 months. I was sold. That was it. I was absolutely sold on being a private lender. So anyone else, what's your experiences with bridge loans? Who's Gator? Okay, but talk to me if you haven't done a deal. Talk to me about what you've learned from your study of the Gator program, or if you're just straight sub 2, what you've learned from meeting with PACE and with in the classes. Don't be shy.
I was just gonna say that with my experience, like if any private lenders need help of how to structure any of these types of loans that you put, I mean, this is what I do all day long, every day with investors, is set up these types of loans. And so I'm also, do consulting, and I would be happy to help somebody with how they would structure each of these types and how that the actual lenders do them, and kind of then they can modify it to their own liking.
Yeah. Well, that's good, kid, because then you got 2, because that's what our team does as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got folks who can help with that.
Okay.
But one of the things I would say, even though you pass it on to get help with Kitty, or you get help with me, with our group, you want to learn every aspect about doing private lending. Because, sometimes it may become a thing where, you have to do it on your own just because you're in a different location, or, of course, as long as we got a phone, you can reach us. But I would say that you do need to know every aspect of lending. You need to know about what fix and flips are, what takes rental properties, because it's your money. And, I say, if you're going to use your money, you need to know what folks do, and you need to be able to ask the questions that are required to get the answers you want. Now, if we help with that, we can help with that because we've got, our platform is together to help assist borrowers and lenders to make sure that everything is straight, legal, whatever you want to call it. We got all that set up. And I've got a great team as well with Kitty. Kitty, we got 2 underwriters on my end. Sean was one of the underwriters, and we got another underwriter. We got a transactional coordinator. We've got everything you need. And I didn't know how important transactional coordinators were until I got into a deal. I was between a private lender and a borrower, and the paperwork, every time we sent in something, it would come back and there would still be errors on it. And that is not a good thing. So catching those errors, knowing that, someone's watching specifically for you, because a lot of times it just gets by you, it gets past you. And I've had a lender, I had a borrower who went to closing. this was before because I became part of the team. I've been doing this private lending since 2019 or 2018, 2019. But everything was supposed to be right. The title company was supposed to clean title, everything. They went through, signed the papers. She had started the renovation because she starts work immediately after the closing. And then there was a glitch. There was something wrong with the title. So she has been in a lawsuit with title company because the title company didn't provide the right information. I'm sure she won. But she was a very experienced investor, and this can happen to her. We just have to really be careful. So it was a lesson that I learned through her unfortunate situation. So you do want to watch that. But yeah, the bridge loan. So let's talk about each of these. I'm going to give you scenarios. Yes, Sean.
I was moving my computer, but I didn't hear was that Kitty who asked the question about something?
I asked the question. Kitty was as a respondent. I asked who understands bridge loans, and Kitty was explaining she does that. She does all the underwriting. She was the underwriter for a hard money lender.
Yes, I heard that one. Yep.
So she was just explaining that she too could help anyone that needed help with this, and like So Kitty, we'll talk.
Right.
Okay, let's go. So bridge loans, explain what a bridge loan is. I think I've said a little bit about it, but what does the word bridge tell us?
Well, I don't want to monopolize, but I'll give this answer, and that's a bridge is just like it's a short-term financing. So in other words, either you're going to sell it at the end or you're going to refinance it into your permanent financing. And it's when you need money fast. So you don't have time to wait, for the borrower aspect of it. You don't have time to wait to go through a traditional program. You need something that's going to close very fast, 2 weeks at the most, and it's just meant to kind of get you into the property, get the property stabilized, whether that means get it rented out, rehab, whatever you need to do. It's just a temporary short-term loan for like a year is usually the term, but anywhere from 6 months to a year to 18 months, 2 years, they can come all different lengths.
Yeah, it can. Yes, I think most people, when I think of bridge loans, I'm looking at things that definitely doesn't go more than a year. Maybe a fix and flip, but also just bridge loans in doing quick transactions or the very quick things where you do a hotel. When you clean out a house, but you're not going to fix it up. If it's a house that's has a whole bunch of junk in it, you clean it out so it looks nice, but you don't put any money in it to fix it up, and they call it hotel. And those can be, very beneficial because, you get the property, you sort of clean it out, a couple of $1,000, $1,500 maybe, and then you sell it to an end buyer or through, wholesale it to to another investor, and then they do the closing and you get your money. And it can be, some $5,000, $10,000 back in the day. I think things are getting a little higher now. So, but those are things that we can look at. So let's take a look. Okay, so here's what I've done is just put together a sheet. So what's the exit strategy issues that people have had with this? And how did they get there? So the exit strategy, sometimes they haven't looked at the numbers well enough. The market fluctuation has changed, or they didn't see that it was changing. And sometimes lenders will have a high risk borrower. Okay. So what do we have to do? You got to verify a clear exit strategy, sale, refinance, and income increase. Borrowers, that part is yours. If you're on and you're borrower, we're going to require approved long-term financing. If you got a big project, you know, if it's going to be a big project, you have to be able to get that approved. And then you have to keep a low LTV, 65 to 70%. How many of you done? I know that, let's see, Calvin, can you speak to what you've done? I know you've had some, at least buy and holds.
Me. Yeah, I've did a few buy and holds, and I don't know, this last one I just ended up selling a few months ago. I was planning on doing buy and hold, and I was looking at renting it out and everything, but I don't know, it was just some stuff about the property that I just didn't like, and it was going to be really hard for contractors to get in and out to do repairs on it and stuff. So I decided to um to go ahead and get rid of it.
So you
Just
tell us
recently
what did you
purchased huh?
I want to hear a little bit more about that one. So how you said that you come to the conclusion, what happened? You came to the conclusion that it wasn't what you were expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got the property kind of came through a family member, and initially I was trying to help them out, and I wanted to be as fair as I possibly could for as pricing and comping it and everything, for as what the comps came back on it, and for us getting the property from them and stuff, and I did. It's just, I don't know. I just I don't know. For me lately, I've been more discouraged from trying to get wholeheartedly back off into the buy and hold scene. I mean, I had rentals, I was doing Section 8 and stuff, and they was good and all that. I don't know. I just kind of got burnt out on it. And I just started selling them. Here now, I don't know. I'm feeling like I might want to try to just get back more off into the flipping side, where I could just get it and do and rehab it and get rid of it that way. But like I said, I'm still looking to do some wholesale deals as well. And like I said, I don't know. I just kind of pulled back for a year and a half, and really didn't do a whole lot. And I was just real selective on what I did do. But
Tell me
I'm
about
just
your
trying to get
selection.
back off into the heart of everything right now.
Tell me about your selection process. What do you do? How do you make, all your properties you were able to sell them or wholesale or do something with them, right?
Yeah, far as belonging to different communities here around town, a real estate investing group in town, and then another couple real estate investing groups. And a lot of times you can go to the meetings, and they do, buy, sell, trade type things at the beginning of the meeting or whatever, or at least broadcast what you want to do. And a lot of times I'll do that at the beginning of the meetings or whatever, and end up linking up with someone that potentially has interest in it, and go about just went about selling this last little home through one of the real estate investing groups.
Okay, all right. So what's, this is a question for others, not just for you so much. So from what he's just said, what is one of the key things we have to do in order to be in this business? He just talked about.
You have to be well connected and be able to network.
Network. Yeah,
Yeah, and you have to be flexible.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So networking is very much an important part of being in doing this. And don't be shy, guys. I mean, here's the thing, you know, if you got a thought, I tell my students all the time, there's no wrong answers, and you don't think of them as dumb answers. We're just really trying to learn, and the only way you learn is to just sort of kind of jump in with things at least you've heard, you've talked to other folks, so that you can actually have conversations about it and learn a little more. Okay, well, let's go to fix and flips. Okay, who's my fix and flipper?
I do a bit.
You go do that, okay. Okay, so here are some of the issues. Private lenders, overestimated after repair value, poor contractor management. Oops, sorry about that. My hand and me don't get along. Underestimated rehab cost. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir. Take it away.
If you underestimate your cost and your time, that could be a big problem for you.
Mhm.
The rest you can kind of work with, but those are the two things you really need to worry about.
Okay. Can you tell me any experience that you may have had when you first started with this, that, you know, you had a hiccup? As I call it?
Yeah. So I had a project that the plans they had submitted weren't like real plans. And so they caught me off guard on that. And the city made us do a lot of changes.
Mhm.
So our time was too short and our project was under budget. By the time we had wind up rewiring the whole house, we had to do a repipe. So there was a lot of stuff that we had to do. And and then when we tried to break open the plaster walls, they cracked all over the place. So we had to wind up re-drywalling almost the whole project.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, but we didn't make as much money as we wanted to, but we made money.
Okay, okay.
That was supposed to be like a really good job. We bought it at a good price. But you know, you really have to investigate the project. So for me, investigating the project is like number one.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Was
And
it
it's
in
going
a
to the
good,
city.
was it in a good area, like in a good zip code area for Pennsylvania?
It was in LA as by
Oh, LA.
USC. So
Okay.
it's not a bad area. So it's pretty good. It's really great for rentals
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
or people that if two families want to move in or something like that.
Yeah. So one of the things, if you notice, one of the things I was learning, the loan to value, keeping it as low, 65 to 70% max is a good thing. Don't go over that. Some of the, I remember being in some of the Zooms that Pace would do, the Saturday, what is it, Sunday, they used to have something on Sunday where they talked about properties, and Pace had sometimes they really went long, but he had lots of good information. But in there, he was talking about, how we have to look at the LTV. It was Jamil, actually it was on, I think Brent Daniels, all three of them were on it, and they would be talking about what we need to look for and what the actual loan to value needs to be before you buy it. And so that was an interesting thing. And then Pace, on his 20 things he talks about on this sheet, and I'll put the link I'll get the links to you. He says, vet the deal yourself and then have 2 other people do it also.
I agree.
And so, that is extremely important. The cool thing about what we do now is that, I may pull in something, but once we think we have all the information required to make a decision, the underwriters take it and they go through it. And I've got 2 underwriters. Okay. And both of them have to underwrite. It's not like one underwrites it and then somebody else is doing another. They underwrite to see if they come up with the same thing. And that has been a critical thing. It puts questions like, what if something goes wrong here? What if? And then I can go back and ask those questions of the investor who wants to build, flip, whatever it is, and say, so this is the questions that need to answer. Because if they don't know the answer, just like was mentioned here, if they don't know that answer, but we see it, it's critical that we give them that information so they can make a better determination of what type of funding they need, or do they need to get out of the EMD before it expires. So, okay.
So may I ask I need
Sure.
to raise my hand. Question on this. As a private money lender working with fix and flippers, we really focus a lot on ARV. So when you talk about loan to value, are you saying that the maximum should be 65 to 70% on the as is or the after repair value?
On the as is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but is that from a lending
65 to-
standpoint or from a buying standpoint?
From a buying. So if you're buying it, it's because when you're buying it in certain areas, in some areas it's even lower. One of the things I learned by listening to Jamil when he would do straight out comping. It depends on the area that you're in, and even in the same town, in the same city, to what the loan to value is going to be, because some areas are not as popular as others. And that was one of the things I learned by being on Straight Out Comping with Jamil. And then talking to other investors around here, and a lot just like yourselves on our Zooms, the Zooms I could go to. And so you do want to watch that, because that could also make you overestimate the after repair value, and you might be losing money. Not losing it, you're not getting as much return as you could.
But what is the perspective if you are a PML in terms of when you're determining? I mean, I know Pace talks about making sure you have 150% of equity based on how much you're investing, but I don't know if anyone had anything to share, a perspective on what they've heard about when you're looking to lend and you're looking at the LTV. I've heard one person say, when you're looking to lend, you always look at the as is value and lend based on that, because of course you never know whether or not the renovations is going to happen. It's possible that a rehab may not occur as planned, but if that's the case, then is there a general guidance on what your LTV should be as a lender, other than the 150% equity of your money?
So this actually impacts both the borrower and the lender. One, if the borrower doesn't know the loan to value when they are actually trying to purchase the property and do a contract, that's where the major piece of the problem would start. And a lot of students were bringing their deals. They would talk about they would say 123 Main Street in, wherever city. And then Jamil would go in and look up what's happening in the area. Many of them he already knew about the area. And he would say you shouldn't pay more than 55% of the loan to value.
Huh.
No more, don't pay any more than that. And then you wanted to take off, that's loan to value. And then you have to subtract what you consider to be what it will take to rehab it. Okay. So you're making a low ball offer. I mean, that's was the whole thing. You do end up making a very low ball offer because of the work you have to do. Now that was, it's been several years, things change and you almost have to look at this every, whatever, few months or whenever things are going up and down, because it will change. It will change. It's not always just 65 to 70, but 65 to 70, if you got a, $300,000-$400,000, what it could be a $400,000 home. You want to get it where you can make it, and you want to make how much money do you expect to make off of a house that you're going to fix and flip? Who's fixing and flipping? What's your golden standard for a fix and flip? How much would you like? What's your average? Don't have an answer for that one? Okay.
No.
Well,
For me, I would say you want at least 20%
20%.
of
Okay.
your cost. Whatever your cost is, you want at least 20%.
Okay.
That
Now,
way, if you have that kind of room, if anything goes wrong, you still have 10% maybe at the end.
okay. Okay. From the borrower standpoint, what are you expecting if you would give money for what's your goal, Marcia, for when you lend out money? What is your return that you're really expecting on the average?
Honest, for me, I hate to say because it seems really low compared to what I hear people in the community talk about, but I get between 15 to 20% return.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. And one of the things we do need to look at, so there's new folks on here. There's new people probably in the community that's never done a flip or anything. They're going to be trying to get together. And I suggest getting together with an advanced person and working with them versus trying to go out by yourself. There was a thing back in the ancient time called apprenticeship. And it worked really well because they learned the trade. They learned it and was able to go ahead and do it. But if you're trying to wholesale and you're trying to get somebody saying, yeah, I'll lend you the money for 30% interest, it's difficult for a new student or a new person coming into the thing. So, 15 to 20%, Marcia, is, to me, sounds reasonable. Yeah, particularly
And that's
now.
per 6 months.
For 6 months, right. Okay. All right. Okay. Now my new construction person. Here we go. Well, no, rentals. I'm sorry, I'm jumping. I just got happy about the construction. Rentals. Who wants to talk about rentals? Who's got rentals? Anyone? Oh, well, I'll start. I think that rental in Ohio. And back when I first started Fortune Builders, one of the presenters was a person who did nothing but rental. And I remember her talking to us and saying, you know, if you have a manager, a rental manager, manage the manager. You may not be doing all the work just, you know, to receive the check and do, you know, all the things, repairs and stuff. But if you have a rental management company, you must manage your rental company. Boy, wasn't that good news, because I had to really go down hard on my rental manager in Ohio. I fired them. You know, after the contract was over, I fired them because they were not doing what was expected. And they were, you know, really taking money from they were charging a rate to the tenants for just doing simple things that they should be doing because I was already paying them. So I just finally, you know, I fired them and got another manager. So that is one of my big lessons I learned, that, and I was thankful for that education before I started doing it. The money is good coming in. I like the idea because it's another form, by the way, it's passive really, except for managing, you know, unless you take on managing your own properties. So it's still another form of passive income. And so I like that. And it was good to learn about it. Anyone else anyone else with multiple properties? Yes, Sean?
I did have a question. You said before Isaac, you said you had properties. You were selling off all your properties. I have just a quick question for you. Was you self-managing those properties?
Oh, that's Kelvin.
Oh, was it Kelvin? I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Is he here?
Kelvin?
I think he might have
You,
left.
he may have stepped away.
Yeah, so I would say the reason why most landlords get kind of tired is because they're doing a lot of self-managing.
Mhm.
That's a big part into becoming a tired investor.
Yeah.
When you self-manage your own properties.
Mhm.
I'm doing it now, but I'm transitioning to putting property managers in all of my rentals. My wife actually manages all of our properties, and she manages our Airbnbs. Now she doesn't have a problem managing the Airbnbs because that's more of her speed. She likes communicating. She likes the hospitality business where she can communicate with them, make sure everything's all right, and she's fine with doing that. But when it comes to the long-term rentals, you know, if you're going to be self-managing, you're going to be tired out very quickly. Um, and she usually does that pretty much after 3 months of us getting someone new in, because it's not about complaints, where it's just about maybe they're not paying on time, or they'll call her and say they have a hiccup and they might be late this month. Every renter usually does. You know, we get some good renters in there that pay on time, especially Section 8. They always pay on time. But as far as uh rentals goes, I would say the self-managing part will deter you from wanting to be a landlord if you're self-managing. So try to get a property manager on anything that you do when moving forward with these buy and holds.
You're right.
Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty
So
much it.
Okay, so I've had rentals since 2004. That's really where I started in real estate. And I had properties as far away as 3 hours away from where I live. Um, and I hear the message of get property manager. I find it personally and all the majority of the people in my network have very difficult time finding good property managers. And one thing that I've noticed is that even when there are, I thought getting property managers is going to make my life less stressful in terms of managing my properties that are 3 hours away. It has not, because and I get recommendations about who's the best, and I've gone through several. And no, I feel, even though it's tiring to manage them yourself, no one's going to manage it as well as you are. When it comes to repair, they may take the first person that comes along versus finding a qualified person that's going to get you the best price. I've had experiences where the property managers end up using my resources to go install HVAC system because, I'm like, no, I'm not paying that. I know how much HVAC costs, and I know people who can do it, that kind of thing. When I was first had my rentals, I also had a full-time W-2 job. What really helped me there is having a good team. So, your electrician, your handyman, all the different areas of expertise, having that in place, having good tenant procurement. So that's like partial, they don't really manage the property, but they can help you find a tenant. But you have to be like really involved in that process, because they can just get a warm body and 4 months down the road, you have a vacancy and have to, go pay expenses to get a new tenant, or take somebody to court to get them evicted, or whatever the case may be. So I think if you're going to have buy and hold, you need to have a strong team and strong processes to, keep your sanity. So that's my personal experience, and everybody's experience is going to be different, but that's been mine.
Oh, you're totally right. And that goes back to what Sevelin said too, as far as managing your property managers. If you do grab somebody, you got to give them your expectations up front on what you want. Now, even though my wife does manage all our properties, to me, she does it better than everyone else, but she has a W-2 as well, and she gets burned out by doing all these things. And her first complaint is she doesn't want to get the first call. She would rather have a property manager get the call, and then she can also basically find, because we don't take the first, if something gets broke, something's, broke in the house, she doesn't go and say, hey, look, we'll go with that person first. She always looks at 3-4 different people, because she knows everybody in this town. So that's how they can never get over her. And most of everybody goes to her because she's the one that makes their shirts and everything else. That's what she does. She puts their logos on their shirts. So she knows everybody. So, but the thing is, like, when we do have properties that's out of state, that becomes a little bit more difficult than the ones that are around us. Now, the ones that are around us, she has no problems managing at all. But when they're a few hours away or out of state, that's when it becomes a problem. Now, they do have virtual property managers now that you can actually get. I haven't used them yet, but we are planning on using them for our next property, because we're buying in different states now. So what these property managers do is, these virtual property managers, they have like these key locks on your door. They have to have the property empty, and then they have the tenant go in there and look around, and then from there they kind of book everything for you, and then they'll give you like 3 electricians, 3 plumbers, all these different people that's around. They'll give you the 3, and then you can decide on who you want to use if something breaks down or whatever, and you can add to that if you find somebody better than their rates. So that's something new, of course, that has came out. Why not? There's virtual wholesalers, why not virtual property managers, right? But Yeah, good points on that. I can see it from your point too. I'm just going off of what she says as far as what's tying her out, as far as doing the property management herself on our deals. But I definitely see it from your point too as well.
Yeah. And you know, one of the things, because I know Marcia was doing it even when she was working, but now you've retired and you full time to the real estate, right?
I'm retired. I don't know what I am these days other than tired.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, it just depends on where you are in your life and what you're doing. The property I got was a turnkey property. Actually, it was through another company called that is the turnkey seller. They fixed the house, they fixed it, and then you can buy it. And it was up in the area where my family lives. So I just said, okay, I can get that up there. And you know, then if I need somebody to go buy there, I could. Well, as life changes and things happen, but it was just was more than anticipated with me having to literally be all over the management company 24/7. Um, so that's a big one. I think that's great information. Thank you all for sharing. And now for construction, brand new. Okay, let's see. That's my California gentleman. Where are you?
I'm here still.
Okay, talk to us.
Well, in the past, for me, and for a new project, there's a lot of due diligence before you even get into escrow.
Mhm.
And then for me, I tried to do those on my own without an investor, but I always use investor seconds because you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes the draws are running behind. So if anyone's going to actually do new construction, I would say a lot of planning. Make sure you have everything going before you get into escrow. It's good to have a 60-day escrow, and that way when you close, you don't have too much time lost before you can start breaking ground.
Okay.
But a lot of you do if you're able, don't buy land when you're first starting unless it has plans already in place.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. I always look for RTIs or ready to build.
Mhm.
But I've designed and built my own, so I know it can take, 6 months, 8 months, years ago. So now it can probably take even longer
Mhm. Right.
just to get the plans ready.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So
Experience with that. Yep.
yeah. So if I were going to do, if I'm buying land and there's not plans, so what I do is I make a deal with the seller of the land for a year. I say, look, I'm gonna put a couple thousand down, and then that gives me time to do my due diligence, get my plans, get my engineer, and then submit to planning. You're gonna get the plans coming back no matter what, at least once.
Mhm.
And then you make all the corrections, and then when you're ready to pull the permit, before you pull the permit, when you're ready to pull the permit, then you go into escrow. Make sure you got your lender, go into escrow. And then once you close escrow, then you buy the permits, you purchase the permits.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Wonderful. Wonderful information. So I had a question, and after you said that, it just all went out of my head. I went, yes, yes. Um, so when you've gotten everything together, do you have a horror story you can share with us that even though you did everything you're supposed to, so there was still a hiccup?
I only had the one that I was telling you guys about, but that was because I bought it with the plans weren't actually finished and not ready to finish. So,
Okay.
but I've actually helped a couple of people that had problems.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They you know, when there's a 2x6 wall, they put 2x4 wall, or you know, they had problems like that, and
Mhm.
then he had to go back, reframe, re-plumbing line in the house,
Mm,
and they didn't do what they call for the plumbing. You're supposed to do a head out.
mhm.
You cut a hole out. You wind up with a square for plumbing,
Okay.
and you have to do these things. And so it was just not experienced enough, and they try
Mhm.
to do it on their own. See, fortunately I grew up around contractors and builders. I was on job sites when I was young, so I know a lot of really good people. And sometimes homeowners, they want to build their own house or they want to do an addition. And I
Mhm.
do have a horror story. In the valley, San Fernando Valley, a friend of mine who's a plumber has a neighbor, and he just threw up a guest house in his backyard, and he did almost every single thing wrong, and he had to tear everything down to the ground.
Oh my goodness.
That is a horror story, but it's a small, you know, maybe 1,000 square feet or less. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah, I
was
was thinking, say one of the tiny homes. It was
no,
bigger.
it was a guest house. It was a guest house, kind of
Oh,
like a
yeah,
tiny home, but
it
it
was a guest
wasn't
house. Yeah.
completely. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, wow. That really would be a huge problem. Wow.
Yep. All that money you spent, and if you had a loan, oh my goodness.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, so yeah, I think that's good. Any questions from our experienced folks, the newbies? Anything you all would want to add to it, or just to make a comment on it? What did you learn?
I got a question. You guys didn't say anything about any kind of recourse on any of the loans. Um, did you guys look for do you guys look for personal guarantees? Do you just go by asset recourse, or what do you do?
Both. Both. So I think we talked about that earlier on, that in addition to the promissory note, that there is also personal guarantee required.
Mhm.
And of course, a deeded trust, a recorded trust. I think in my state, we have deeds. I think I forgot what they call it in ours. I don't know if it's like title, but a recorded lien against the
Mhm.
property.
Yeah. 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 We are suggesting that you actually, in many instances, make sure that there's real collateral. In other words, they have a property, they have something, a boat, something that will pay back the amount of money if they sold it, that, is free and clear. Because a lot of times, we will find that the folks, they'll say, oh, I've got this, but, you got to make sure it's free and clear, because there's a lot of times that things go awry, and then they really still can't do it. So we've always asked for collateral. And I'll go through that. I'll tell you some things that we always ask for in ours. Okay, and that was the construction we were talking about, then the zoning permits and all the things he talked about, contingency funds. Okay, so, as I mentioned, one of the things I've worked with, Guide Elevate Fund, this is our new platform, our new group that we've formed. And we're all private lenders, but we're also looking to, build connections and get other private lenders so that, when somebody comes, like the folks who are talking now, who are now trying to get into fix and flip, transactional funding, all those things, so that we have a pool of folks that we can always get to make that happen. And we're putting together a platform that will take into account both the private lender, as far as making sure that the funds are secured, and also make sure that the borrower understands what they're getting into before they have their money taken away for EMD. So it takes time to do that. And I noticed one of the things I've had folks send something to me and they need it in 2 or 3 days. And, we hear that a lot, particularly for folks say, we can fund you in 14 days, or we can fund you in 7 days. We're not going to promise something. We're going to work with you and make sure it's good and that it's ready to go, and that a lender will be willing to lend to you. And the borrower, you will be able to make sure that, we will have the funds, you will have the funds you need to do the work as a fix and flip. Or if you're going to wholesale it, hotel it, or if you go into new construction. But we just have to make sure that we get all the paperwork that's necessary to make that happen. So we also have transactional coordinators on board. Alana is a top tier trained, certified transactional coordinator. As I said, I've got underwriters that just opened my eyes as I was doing things about working with this. And they will give you everything, including the what ifs. What if something happens? I mean, it's amazing, to hear those questions, because if you hear that, and I'm going to go ahead, I'll pull this back up. I'm going to take off and stop sharing for a second. Well, once I can get it all, I'm trying to stop sharing and it won't stop sharing. Hold on just a second. Okay, here we go. Woo, we're back. So, let me get out of here. Okay. So some of the questions that we tend to ask is, what if the borrower breaches the loan contract? What if expected expenses arise during the project? In other words, the cost at the time was this, when you first, it was this amount, and then all of a sudden, because of supply and demand, it goes up another 5–10%. How's that going to be fixed? We look at title company. Did title company fail to disperse the funds correctly? What if? And these are all what if questions that we can ask as we look at different projects, just to make sure that both sides have all the information they need to make a intelligent decision about whether to go forward. I think what I have found mostly was that the borrowers have already put down money. Some of them have had it so long they've almost expired their time for the EMD. And so we need to work with that. So on the borrowers meeting, we have 2 meetings. I like to meet with the borrowers and talk borrower shop. And then I like to do with private lenders. where we are able to talk and say, here are the things I need. I love to get everyone's buy box as far as lending box. If you're a lender, you should have a lending box of where you like to be, and just like you know, investors know where they want to buy. Okay, so if we can talk about that, that can be another session. If you do not have a lender's box, love to send something and work together to get you prepared for lending. Do not lend money that you can't afford to lose, as Pace said in his little 20 points. You make sure that your money that you're using is something that you haven't touched in years. If you got an account, I've got folks, they haven't touched, they've got a savings account. That's how they got started. They have a savings account gathering dust, or the bank is getting part of the money every month. So now they are actually lending to make money. So, those are things that, we do. Other questions, anything else that we can think of that you would like to know? Okay, well, I look forward, like to see everybody is in, everybody's got your thing. Verena, I think I have your phone number, but can you put that in there just so? And what I do, I take a screenshot, so I got everybody and I can call you because you're in this group. Apple, hi, Apple.
Hi, Celine.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Busy day today, but I'm glad I made it.
I'm glad you made it too. Did you have anything you wanted to ask? Alpha's one of our leaders of our Gator Sub 2 group here in Raleigh, and they do such a fabulous job with that. And
Yes, thank you. Appreciate you, Celine. Actually, from the fix and flip and the contractor and um the PML, that was amazing because that's where I'm heading at, and all the information is very crucial, in rentals as well, because as an investor, when you start investing, of course, aside from PML and you go buy and hold, right, fix and flip and all this stuff, then you need to have all that information. And Sean and Isaac, I know Isaac, I think he left already, but that was really good to know the loan to value, ARV, and all those things. So it's helpful. I think one of my question is just, but Isaac really answered it a while ago. It's about fix and flip. How the timeline, like what, like if you really have a property that you really wanted, right? But he said like you can talk to the seller, right? And say you can give like 1 year and then your escrow 60 days. Like, what if you really like the property and your comps are good and but the seller doesn't want to cooperate. So I think that's a challenge maybe. So my question is, how do you talk to them? How do you negotiate that? So
yeah. Well, it sounded like he had a good negotiation in that, he was making sure he had all the funding in place.
okay.
And the seller was willing to, work with him on that. And so, because I too heard that and I thought, yeah, that works. When you have a seller who's willing to work with you, then it's great. If you don't have a seller who wants to work with you, then you just have to leave it on. That property wasn't meant for you.
Yeah, that's it. It's just let it go.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's the thing, because sometimes we want to push through because we love it. But, you know, if it's meant to be, it will. If you get a lot of resistance, then move on because there's something better, something waiting for us out there.
Absolutely. It was,
Okay.
I
you
think
know, if it's meant to, oh, it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I'm sorry, Sean, go ahead.
no, sorry. I was just going to say it seems like he was negotiating a seller finance deal because he said something about giving a down payment. So
Right.
that's
Oh, yes, the
one
10
way
grand,
of
right?
yeah, that's one way of doing a deal like that. And I hear a lot about a lot of seller finance deals for land. They'll
Yeah.
give them a down payment and they'll give them time to work on the project for a 6 months or to a year. So that's another way to do
Oh,
it. Like
okay.
even Sevelin had a deal she was working on in Arizona, and you know that buyer or that borrower did the same process. She bought it seller finance, and she had different lots that she got for seller finance, and she was holding them
Mhm.
until she got her permits and everything and all her planning in order, and she was just paying them an interest payment over time out of her own
Mm.
pocket through her lenders who jumped on the project with her and saw the vision that she saw too as well. So you can you
Yeah,
can definitely have um those little processes like that to help out.
Yeah.
that's good. Good, amazing. Thank you, Sean. And I see that I think you from, sorry, I'm gonna ask a question, Sean. Are you from like Fayetteville area or?
No, I'm over here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, by the Camp
Oh,
Lejeune base. I'm a retired Marine, so I just stayed in
oh,
the area.
thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Marcia. Hi,
You there?
everyone. Hi. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Have y'all
Yeah.
all met up at the Sub 2 Gator meetups? Is that where all of y'all met?
So, yes.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I haven't been for a while, so been kind of taking
Yes,
care of.
if you're available, we do that every fourth. Oh, so March 22 is the next one.
Yeah, yeah. I used to go a lot, but I don't know
Oh,
why.
okay. Yeah, if you're available, I can send you the link if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Send a link. I used
Yeah.
to go with Justin Tumanowski and um Ted Miller. I don't know if have they
Oh,
came
Yeah.
to the
awesome. Yes, he was our guest speaker the last time, right? The 70.
yeah, Ted.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we've
it's
been
awesome. Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
going up to in 2021. So it's been a while, but I just got into Gator probably last year. We've been doing it in Sub 2 for a while, but then Pace made Gator, so and I didn't jump on board at first because I didn't want the shiny object syndrome. But after a while, I was like, yeah, let's do this because this seems like something good to do because we've been lending the whole time, but it was like I never really put a platform on it until he made Gator. But I wish I would have did it when it first started, because then I would have been in the elite program instead of just the standard one. But it's all good. Uh,
Yeah.
I guess everybody kind of had swindled out of here, got out of here. But I was going to answer the questions about what you was saying, Marcia, about the the deed of trust and things like that. So with our borrowers, every time when they sign up with us, we send them an email that they have to check yes or no. And we send them an email and saying, this is what we require for all our deals for private money. If you are looking to do private money, and it's the deed of trust, um, promissory note, collateral, personal guarantee, and insurance. And we also have operating agreement based on the specific deals, specific term of the deals. So we require them to check yes or no on that, um, to let them know like, hey, this is what we require. If you can't provide these things, we're not doing business. And the reason why I say that is because I've known a lot of people in sub 2 that have done deals with a lot of people and got really, really screwed over. You have to protect yourself by any means necessary. And even with the collateral, even with the personal guarantee, you know, we require not just one personal guarantee on that specific person, but him and his wife, her and her wife, him and his husband, whatever. It doesn't matter who it is. You have to have 2 people, because what people have been doing is they will they'll file for bankruptcy, give all their assets and everything to their partner, and you can't go after them because it's already in their partner's name. So that's why you got to get 2 personal guarantees with that. I have a friend right now who's 250 days over their term for their private money. 250 days over. She's been trying to go after this one lady for a long time. I told her to foreclose on her, but what she did is, and you got to watch out for title companies too, because title companies can be a little strange. What the title company did is they gave her interest on the collateral to someone else. They signed it over to someone else. I don't even know how they did that, but they used the same title company, but in a different area, and signed over the interest to someone else, her interest. So I was like, wow. So this is what made me start getting real tight with what we doing. So right now I'm in the process of finding her a lawyer and getting her all the things that she needs so she can get her money back. But the borrower is basically lying at every chance that she can get. So, I definitely should have said that at first before everybody jumped off, but it is definitely good information for all of us to know moving forward. And just like
This will be in the YouTube. This will be on we can go in and revisit it. Since I have a YouTube area. Kudos to Rose. Rose is my right and left hand. Keeps me helping to communicate and all that. So thank you, Rose. Appreciate you. But she will we have an opportunity to work through whatever it is. And between her and myself, looking at things. If you got questions, anything you need help with, God Elevate Fund is prepared to help you. We do education as well as helping with actually doing these, finding funds or being the funders. So, and if you're interested in working so we can do larger projects, but the very secured projects, then I am looking to build capital partners. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, ladies and gent, you look like you're the last man standing, Sean.
All right.
We outlasted the gentleman.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, Severine.
Thank you all so much for
Bye.
coming. And we'll see you again. This is a monthly thing I'll be doing. If you got suggestions of things you would like to talk about, send them to me so we can set up something that will address specific things that you're interested in. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.